Mercury, shooting through every degree. Oh, girl, dancing down those dusty trails. Take it hip to hip, rock it through the wilderness. Around the world, the trip begins with a kiss. Roam if you want to, roam around the world. Roam if you want to, without wings, without wheels.
Winter, spring, summer, fall, seasons change, we still keep it together.
Hey Beverly Hills 90210 fans! Are you ready to dive deep, episode by episode, storyline by storyline, character by character, as we break down the making of your favorite zip code? With your hosts, Charles Rosen.
Did I say that?
Harry
This
Mullen.
heinous thing about the real person, and we're going, what? We're getting rid of this guy.
Pete Ferrero.
I'm feeling wonderful. Kathleen looks TV crush-worthy.
Like so many special guests. And all your questions. Live on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Oh, yeah. Everybody dance now.
Well, here we are on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. I'm going to change that, Melanie. And here is our panel of experts, Chuck and Larry and Melanie Rhodes. This is going to be super exciting. This is Planet 90210. What an awesome opening with Connor. Charles, playing a song special to you and to the show, Rome. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, Connor. That was really great. So, to get ready for this, Larry and Pete and Melanie did so much. I felt kind of like the odd person out. I was just benefiting. I wish I had more people I could delegate to when I was making the shows, actually. But this was just so wonderful. And so I wrote an email, and in the last, and I wanted to make it kind of special, welcoming them. So the last part of it, I explained about this one song, which you just heard, called Rome by the B-52s. And this is what I wrote to them. So they got this information really before any other superfan in any other country. Lastly, and appropriate to Planet 90210, I thought you'd like to hear the song The Spelling Company dropped over the credits at the end of the pilot episode. They were submitting to Fox Broadcasting for the first time against the photographs of Brandon and Brenda and Kelly and Steve and all the rest of the whole adorable 90210 cast. And this is what they, and so after we received the order. It worked. It was great using the song Rome by the B-52s. I came aboard, and that song, which was so perfectly captured the tone that all of us wanted for that first season, and it was the song that those who knew gave a lot of credit for selling the show to Fox because it was so hummable and it fit so perfectly. It almost became our theme song.
Wow.
And it didn't. But as I said to all of them, 30 years later, we finally get the chance to roam around the world.
That's it.
Hey.
Larry, what you got?
Just putting this all together, I think we realized once we've been doing our show live, a lot of our international fans can't appreciate the show live. So we wanted to do something for them. And then what we realized is how important this show was in people's growing up, their development. Sometimes it's their whole window on the world. And it kind of validated a lot of what we believed was great about the show to us, which was we were telling the stories of ordinary kids living extraordinary lives being Beverly Hills, and what that all meant, and that style and the fashion and the excess of it. And it just, it became something special, and it still is, obviously, because we've got a lot of excitement around the world for Planet 90210 today, and I'm not going to take any more time because we got to get to it.
All right, let's get to. You guys ready? We're going to get in our luggage together because we're
set it now. We're going east to Israel.
We're going to Israel.
you guys.
They totally rocked it.
Yeah.
All right.
That is the greatest.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Well, this is really great having everybody here. I don't know. Where do we start here? Who do we start with?
How do we start with Inbal? Because Inbal is my contact.
Right. Inbal.
Hi.
Talk to me about Beverly Hills 90210 in Israel.
When it starts, I was little, so I didn't see it, but I was just 6 years old. But I started to see it in 1996 when I was 12.
Wow.
And I love it.
Yeah. That's really great. How about you, Linoy?
I was in the perfect age, exactly when it started. My friends returned from the USA, and she told me about this show, and we started to see it together, and it became traditional for us. Every Friday, we watch together with our group, and everybody needs to be quiet, and we remember all the words and everything. It was wow! It was for me the best time in the week.
That's really nice.
Did the show play in subtitles, or did you have dubbed in voices in Hebrew?
No, it was in English, and from there I learned English. So I appreciate to Israel that they don't translate it to Hebrew. They state in English.
Oh.
All right. And let's see who else we have. Sharon.
I just go up with the show. I love any minutes. The show very loved in Israel. Everybody love it, and there is we go up with the show every year.
Go ahead, Larry.
Who's your favorite character on the show, Sharon?
Brandon.
Brenda. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Miri, what about you?
Hello, I look the sidra
The show.
the show ב-18 לפני גיוס צה"ל.
Before she went to the military.
I see today all exciting. I love Brandon and Dylan. Brenda and Dylan.
Okay.
A lot of that love, Brenda and Dylan, always. Okay, Liron, how about you?
Actually, I really listened to what Larry said, and it clicked to me because I was a religious girl when I watched 90210 for the first time, and it was about 93 when I started watching it, and it really was a window for me to see the outside world, outside Israel. I was never outside of Israel, and it opened my eyes to so much, and it was kind of a step for me to do change in my life.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I thought maybe one of the things that was attracted is that we had a character, Andrea Zuckerman, who was actually Jewish. Had you seen a Jewish character on an American television show before that in a drama?
I don't think that I paid much attention to that. I think it wasn't really a big deal for me, even though my last name is Zuckerman. I don't think it was an issue for me. that she was Jewish. Actually, when I met the guys in Chicago a few years back, they all thought it's pretty amazing that my last name is Zuckerman as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Wait a second, you met the guys?
Yeah, there was like an 80s party in Chicago, in a city next to Chicago, 2 years back or 4 years back. Yes, and I went there. Some of them weren't there. Like Shannon, she was sick back then for the first time, and Brian just had a baby and went to something that Sharknado, so he couldn't make it. But the rest of the guys were there. Actually, I have photos with all of them, and it was 2 days long. And I also met Shannon when she was in Israel 7 years ago.
Mm. Yeah, I knew about that in Chicago. That Eckhouse went to that. That was the big one. I think that's where Darren Martin from Canada met a lot of the
That's
actors.
correct. That's right.
That same one that you were at.
Oh, wow. Hey, listen, I got a great clip here, guys, from Israel. I don't know what this is. We were just watching it before we came on, and whoever sent it could talk about it, but I'm going to play it for everybody. This was really cool.
You guys got a check. Check it for Vakasha.
I'm listening.
You're listening?
I love that stuff. Amazing. Who shared that?
I sent it.
Yeah.
What were those? Were those the Paschal lambs? What were those animals?
What was going on?
They went to a kibbutz. What was? Yeah, tell us about that. So it was a trip of the stars.
They came to Israel in 1992, and they do shows. They did shows to friends, and take them to a trip in Israel. I don't know where.
Well, I know
like
that
a road show with Tel Aviv famous young people as well.
I mean, it was like rock stars there. It looked like,
Yeah,
they were.
Well, Gabrielle has told me that it was of all the countries that there was no question that you guys were the craziest fans. And that's why I think it's your credit.
Yeah, I like Ian getting out there and checking a Vakasha too. That was
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I think his father's a cantor, isn't he?
A cantor, yes.
Yeah,
I was going to say
Ian Zieren's father's
like
a cantor. Yeah.
Chuck, I'm curious to ask you this question about sending the cast to different places in something like that. I'm sure that's not maybe necessarily in your world, but
it was definitely in my world. Absolutely.
You saw it all go from firsthand. You saw have a firsthand experience of seeing these kids get cast and then go and start doing all that. What is that process like?
Well, you who have been watching our podcast here know that when I talk about the first 2 seasons, I talk about a fact that the show had much less money to spend on the product than all the other shows pretty much that were on primetime television at that time. So how was Mr. Now we're a huge hit. So how is Mr. Spelling going to be able to get the cast to be happy with the fact that maybe if they were on a different television show, they'd be making a lot more money? So what he did is he got the distribution companies to send them to the various countries where the show was doing well, and they got paid for that handsomely, and that's what compensated them for maybe not making quite as much as their agents would have liked while doing the TV show. So that's why they would go to it. So I know that in those first few years, the 3 countries that the cast would come back and say, those fans are crazy, would be Israel, Italy, and Spain. God bless all 3 of you. And then, of course, the rest of the world.
All right. Hey, I just want to ask all of you guys, do you have a favorite? We asked a couple of people that. Do you have a favorite character and couple? Let's just kind of go around.
How
Lenore.
about a favorite episode, too? I'd like to know that from everyone. I'm going to keep score on that.
Luke Perry. Luke Perry is my man.
How about favorite episode?
The funeral of his father.
I love the Donna Martin Graduate episode.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that too. How about you, Imbal?
My favorite is Brandon and Kelly, and episode Donna Martin Graduate.
Donna Martin graduates. Wow. Lyra, did you answer that question? What's that episode?
What's that?
My favorite character was Brenda, absolutely. Also Brandon, but first and foremost Brenda. And the favorite episode by far is the episode that Dylan and Kelly tells her about the summer.
Oh,
summer.
Right. That is good. What about you, Miri?
I love Donna and David. עברו דרך long way עד new couple.
Right, Sharon, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
That is great. All right, listen, Melanie, we have to go to the next group, right?
We do. We're going to Italy.
All right. Okay, Italy, my people. Hello.
Hi.
I love them all. How are you?
Ciao.
Hello.
That's great.
I feel home now.
And we have, where's Loredana?
Hello.
We're missing a Loredana too.
Should be here.
Hello, Ramona.
Yes,
Oh,
here
that's
she
good.
is.
Oh, there she is. There, wonderful. Oh, that's great. You know, I am disappointed. There are no male Italian fans.
Sorry, I'm a male Italian fan. I'm
Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hello.
hearing us in the background. Somebody is listening to us in the back. I can hear it. So you have to turn down the volume of the television. But anyway, it's great to have you all here. Going through that question, let's see what I have. If I have any clips here, but Loredana, you kind of put this grouping together, right? You know what's up. Talk to me about what 90210 was like in the world of Italy.
So Beverly Hills was aired in Italy in 1991. So a year later, USA. We had some rumors about it from the magazine, but we had no idea of its power. It was totally a brand new product and can cross the time, and this is still relevant today because it faced up so much issue and that are current right now. I was 13 when it started, and I was 23 when it ended. So it took in Latin we say the invictus summer, the invincible summer of my life. So the full arc of my teenage years. I look for some data for you. In 1993, every episode of Beverly Hills had 5 million viewers. You have to consider that in Italy we were 56 million at a time. It's like in the USA you have 16 million people every episode. It was a huge success. It was very successful for us, and we had the occasion to see a sparkling world like Beverly Hills, because we live in a society completely different from that, And it was weird for us to see a 16 years old like Dylan living alone and having alcohol problem. So for us, the norm was the Walsh, because we had a very strong value of family. So that's why we eat in the Walsh kitchen. We talk with the twins in the bathroom. So for us, it was the normal. The dysfunctional families for us was so weird to see, to understand. And so it was a huge success. As above all, the first 4 seasons, then the middle that I loved personally, and the last 2 not so much. And can I say one thing?
Larry agrees.
No, it's important to me to say a thing. It's important because I want to thank you for this occasion, for this chance you give to us, because it's very important. You care about us. And I love the way you work. So the timing of your writing. In Latin, we say the fabula, that is the fairy tale, the plot. Okay, and I think I love the way you have brought the characters from one point to another. And above all, I really appreciate that you always protected all the characters, even when they were no more there. Because we invest our time and our feelings in this character. I loved Brenda and Brandon too. So when I left them, I left it all, and I think it was not fair. Because the worst thing that could happen is how some protagonists were erased, like they have no existence. They were the protagonists, and I think it was. It's like reading a book up 2 chapters from the end, and then someone told us nothing was true. I believed in nothing that didn't exist. It was not fair to me. So I want to thank you because you having protected them always. That's my point.
All right, here's a little clip from seeing the show in Italy.
That's great.
Giovedì a Beverly Hills.
Lo so. Ho bisogno del tuo aiuto, Melanie. Andrea, sei incinta.
Giovedì a Melrose Place.
90210 at Melrose Place. I love it.
Melrose Place.
Well, I have one question. What and I have 2 comments too, but I'll hold those for later. What time did it air in Italy? What time was it on?
It's 30 past 9 p.m.
When the show was on.
When the show originally was on TV.
Sorry, on Tuesday night. 30 past 8, and there were some replies on Wednesday at 7 p.m. I think.
Yes.
Well, the one story I think the Italian fans would like is that I actually once was in Italy and saw the show in Italy.
Wow.
That was I was up. It was when I left when I said arrivederci, and I went on a trip with Karen, and we spent the time in Italy. And there it was. We were in Como at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm at that beautiful hotel you have there, the Villa d'Este, and I'm watching it, and I'm really excited because it's coming to the end, and I'm going to see my credit in Italy. Yeah. And I cut it like that, credit out. So, okay. But I remember that. And the other thing I want to say is especially Glenda, we were talking about Florence and Tuscany a little bit recently. And I remember going with Karen on our first day in Florence and crossing the bridge over the Arno at the Ponte Vecchio. And I go into it. Karen we want some gum. We go into a drugstore, and there is an entire rack with Brandon Walsh perfume.
Yeah.
So I wonder if
Did you buy it, Chuck?
Did any of you ever buy any Brandon Walsh perfume? No, probably not, but it was there.
I have a question. When you saw the Italian version of Beverly Hills, what did you think about the voice of the actors? Because we have a double voice on our video, and I feel fantastic because I'm Italian, but I live in Paris. I'm talking from Paris now, and I saw Beverly Hills in French too, and it was terrible, the voice. I prefer Italian version or original version, of course.
I think the Italians got the spirit. Yes, I do. Now this,
Interesting. Oh, that's
the way that Jim Walsh should be talking to Brenda.
Now let me ask you this: who is this? Is this Glenda? Was that you?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Glenda, no?
Wow. Is there a picture? Oh, yes, that's me. yes, that was myself. That was the time I convinced my husband to visit the locations during our honeymoon. Because I know that I always loved Dylan, but I married a Brandon.
Oh, love that. Love that.
What I want to say about Glenda, usually, Melanie, when we went to visit the location, we're afraid to go near the lawn. We don't want to sit or do anything rude to the property. Glenda from Italy,
she took it over. She made it her own.
Sit on the lawn.
Love
like
it.
you own the house. I love it. All right.
I actually wanted to knock at the door, but my husband said, "That's enough."
When Melanie and I went, I said, "Let's go play basketball if the hoop is up there," and it was not. The Walshes got rid of it. All right, how about you guys? Favorite episode? I'd love to hear from all of you.
Louisiana, we haven't heard from. And Nancy and Mariciana.
Louisiana, your favorite episode of 90210?
Dylan McKay.
Dylan McKay.
Dylan was my crush. Dylan was my crush. But Brandon was my mentor for life.
Oh, there you go. Brandon. How about you, Nancy? Favorite?
Help Nancy there. Maybe Loredana, can you help Nancy? Just ask her what her favorite episode was.
Nancy, qual è il tuo episodio preferito?
Sì, non l'attore, però.
L'episodio. Vabbè, non mi no, she can't hear me.
Okay.
Well, Nancy, you look nice. Yeah.
Romina, how about you? Favorite?
Ragazzi, ho un problema con l'audio.
I think the second one, after the first one, and the first one is different to the home, right? The house
Yes,
is
it was
different.
not produced by the person you're talking to. Yes,
Yeah, it was not the same. Yeah. So the second, for me, it's the first one, but it's the second. So the second was fantastic. I think we discovered
the green room.
The green room.
the green room. Yeah, and we met Dylan McKay for the first time. So I think it's the best for me. Yeah.
You should hear Marisanta. Ask her, Pete.
Yeah.
Marisanta, how about you? Your favorite character or your favorite episode?
Maybe Loredana can help her because I don't think she.
Maria Assunta, ti chiedono qual è il tuo episodio preferito? Non riesco a sentire. I can't hear it.
Huh.
Okay.
I think the audio is bad.
Mi senti?
Sì.
Okay. I love most beautiful episode, and it's very difficult. Weekend Past Prince. Very cool.
What was that, Pete? Did you get it?
And my favorite character is Brenda. Brenda is fantastic.
She is fantastic.
Yes, is a very strong woman and passion
is very emotion. Is a character particular. I love this character for is especially for me, and I love the couple.
Okay.
Diane and Brenda.
Okay. This award show, Chuck, this is from Italy, this award show that I have here?
That's Italy. That's England.
That's England.
England, okay. Okay.
Hey, Nancy.
I don't speak English well, and please forgive me.
Well, that's an interesting question. Before we go up and down the line, what appealed to you? What appealed to you about the fact? Did a lot of this appeal to you? The fact that it was a show from the United States at the time?
Did you like that it was a show from the USA?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. It was a sparkling word for us.
Are you asking to everyone?
Yes, Glenda. What about you?
I would like to say that, first of all, I would like to thank you all, guys, because you made my life not day, because I was 16 when it was first hired Italy, and I could relate with the guys, same age, I would say. And it was just the first time that a show was facing family issues, couples issues, and even if they were wealthy, well, it's TV show, so it's nice to see wealthy people, but they got problems as well. So it was great. I loved them like relatives, same as you all.
That's how I feel, Glenda. Yes, that's exactly how I feel. They're like relatives. Yes. Okay.
Just ask. Let's see if Loredana can ask Nancy one more time. Nancy, can you hear us?
Nancy, ci senti?
I am 26 years.
No, Nancy, ascoltami, ti chiedono qual è il tuo episodio preferito e il tuo personaggio preferito.
Ok,
dai, dimmelo.
Ok, perdonami. My favorite episode is when Kelly defends Steve from Laura's accusation for season.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Good
night.
Wow. Deep
Power to the women.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. That's cool.
All right, Melanie, how are we on time? Are we ready to move to the next country?
Yes,
great.
that
So, I
sounds
mean, it's so
good.
nice to see everybody.
Okay, so where are we going next, guys?
We're going to Europe.
So many
My
countries.
people of Italy, I love you all very much. You all look beautiful today. I will see you again next time.
Bye.
Pete, may I ask you a last question?
Europe, here we are.
Europe, Denmark, Holland, Greece, France.
Bonsoir.
Hello,
We're missing somebody or no? We're missing somebody or no?
A couple of people, they'll come in, you know. It's
yeah, we have from Germany. We have
hard to get out of customs, you know, sometimes.
It's true. The airport. It's so hard at the airport.
I see Jamie in here.
Oh,
Yes,
there's Abby, yes, and there is Denise. The two. Now we got a full boat here.
Germany is in the house.
Germany's in the house, and Portugal and France.
Amsterdam, Denmark, Greece, and both Portugal and France, depending on the mood
together,
right?
Someone has a TV on loud, I think, but it's okay.
All right.
And Holland in the house. Yes, Amsterdam. I said Holland. I meant Amsterdam. Thank you.
Welcome.
I love getting into this conversation about how you all found the show and what it meant to you. Anna, let's start with you. Talk to me about Beverly Hills 90210 and how did you find it and what you love about it?
Well, I remember this when I was very small in Portugal. I grew up in Porto, and I remember, first started in 91, 1 year after the premiere. And it was programmed on the early afternoon slot, I think Sundays. That promo that I sent you says Sunday, this afternoon, Sunday, so I think it's Sundays. And it was all over the place, like posters, stickers, magazines, everything. Dylan was obviously super big.
Yes.
My favorite too.
Yeah.
And Brenda also was one of Portuguese favorites. But I only got like really, really into the show when I was in college. When I was a little girl, just got like one episode, the other episode. Then I really seriously got into it when I was in college. So I bought all the DVDs. It was always subtitled in Portugal. So I bought all the DVDs and I tuned in every single friend of mine into it. So now we have groups.
Nice.
Where were you in college?
I'm in Paris now.
Where were you in college? Where were you in college?
I was in Porto.
Oh, you were
was
in
in
Porto. In college
yeah.
there. Okay. Porto.
Yeah. I only moved here for my PhD, which I'm
So
not.
were you watching the show in English or a dubbed-in version?
Always in English. In Portugal, it's always subtitled. So, like, when I bought DVDs, I bought the American DVDs.
I have a Portuguese clip here. Let's see what that looks like.
Na escola a vida está difícil para Brenda e depois há esse mundo irresistível ainda por descobrir. Mas Brenda vai ter uma experiência inesquecível. Domingo, ao princípio da tarde, Beverly Hills 90210.
Wow. All right. I love it.
Cool.
Okay. Let's see. We have a French dub too, I think you sent over, right, Anna?
Yes, in the small clip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Je ne vous dérange pas?
Non, ça va. Je peux faire quelque chose pour vous?
Si ça ne vous ennuie pas. Excusez-moi.
No, that's great. I love that. But hey, listen,
Right, I have to say, Pete. You know, we just saw, and I don't take this personally, Anna, because that now your friends from Italy were very happy with their dubs and said, yes, much better than the one in France. However, I wish Brenda Walsh always spoke French so well.
The reason I done that clip is exactly because it was a Paris episode, so I thought this is going to be so appropriate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they're all going to speak French.
Well, speaking of this Paris episode, you know, I've talked to you all about the set decorator, Jill Henkel, who gave me a whole bunch of really great images of them creating the sets for Paris. Charles, we've talked about locations before. You guys did not shoot in Paris, did you?
Shot on the back. Well, what you just saw, the scene there, is in a really wonderful garden and library that we have over in Pasadena called the Huntington Library, that we knew could double maybe for the
Gardens, maybe,
alone or something. But at the same time, we shot in the back lot at Universal. And I know Pete's going to show you some pictures, and that skinny person in the white shirt is a distant relative of mine.
And there you see Charles Rosen are telling people what to do here. It looks like you're saying, what is happening here? Do you recall?
No, I told you what I was saying. Listen to me, goddammit. Do it this way. No, I didn't say that. We were just breaking down what had to be. You know.
Well, this is a very famous pose that you had with your hand out like this. If you notice, you're doing it in both images.
Right.
It's always something. Always needs explanation. It looks like, but these are really cool.
Well, Paul was a little slow on the uptick sometimes.
But this is all of them building the sets at Universal. I just absolutely love these pictures.
That fellow in the green shirt there, he was the director of photographer. He was our camera person. Randolph.
Is this is the clock tower in Back to the Future? Is this the same scene setup? Is that the same place? Yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
It looks like.
It was
Yeah,
Universal.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that actually, but could be.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's talk to some others. Hey, Chris, how about you in Greece? What was the show like for you?
The show was legendary, I have to say. It was the biggest American show ever in Greece in the 90s. Actually, it defines the 90s in our country. It started sometime in 92. I was very young to start at the beginning, but the show was always once a week in a constant rerun every single day. So eventually I got to the first episode, the first season, and I was hooked. It was a love for life.
Were you watching a dubbed-in version or with subtitles or
subtitles? Always subtitles.
So English actors' voices and subtitles.
Yeah. As it's supposed to be.
How about for you, favorite episode?
One is hard, but I have to say I really love the first part of the second season, from the beginning of the summer episode up to Christmas. This was always my favorite part of the show.
And what about favorite? Do you have a favorite character? I feel like the girls always get a chance to ask for the favorite actor, the guy. What about you? Who's the favorite girl on the series?
Mine was Kelly.
Kelly.
I love Kelly. And I always saw myself as Brandon. I even have the Brandon haircut back on the day, if you believe it or not. In the sideburns and everything. Yeah.
I love it. That's very cool. Hey, Steen, you came in last night under the radar. That was really great. That we needed Denmark in this. How about watching for you all those years ago? What was that like?
It defined my entire childhood and my youth. I was 12 when it aired in Denmark, and I watched all the episodes in the right direction, and I grew up with the characters. They were like my older siblings, and I loved it. It defined my life, and it was as huge in Denmark as in Greece.
One thing I want to say to all of you, that you may or may not know this, but one of the reasons that we were airing and was so welcomed by your country's broadcast system is that many of your countries added a commercial television channel at the time that we were debuting. So we're debuting, we got our little show, and you need programming. So we got a little show in America, and that's how we got to all those countries. And your support is what kept us there, of course.
It was always 90210 and Baywatch during the 90s. The two shows.
And I love that you say 90210 and Baywatch, because always everybody who kept score on stuff like this always said Baywatch and 90210, because that was the #1 show, and we were right behind them.
You said something really nice once about Baywatch, Chuck.
I can imagine.
I did. I actually wrote. I actually did a rewrite on the Baywatch reunion. One of the least pleasant 3 weeks I ever spent. No offense, David Hasselhoff.
The TV movie they made in 2003.
I did Night Ride with them. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I like the car. I like the car a lot.
Car was great.
Easy to work with.
The bathing suits, but come on.
All right, for Peter, I have, I want to ask you some of the same things. Watching the show all those years ago, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I was 9 at the point that it premiered. I was living in Germany at that point, and I remember it was on Dutch television and, of course, in Germany. And I switched between both channels because I wanted to see it in the original version, like the English, and then, of course, we had the German dub. But for me, it was such an impact. I loved the actors. I thought they were all gorgeous. I could not choose. The storylines really got to me, even though I was still very young. But it was finally a show that talked about a lot of topics that were really important, I think, for young people. And like we already talked about, a lot of people couldn't talk about those subjects with their parents. And the show was a way for them to relate. And they felt like relatives, like friends. So for me, it was a great show. And years after years, I just kept watching it, and I loved all the seasons. And I stayed a fan. Even now, I still watch it, and I follow them, all their new stuff, all their new TV shows and movies. So big fan.
We are like family.
We have to know all the backgrounds, because Peter's got a little background, and so did Chris over there. Everyone's got their.
But one thing we didn't get just real quick, Anna, Chris, Stein, and Peter. What were your favorite episodes? Just real quick. Favorite one. One that comes off your head.
Oh, God. It's like, what? Sorry. You're going, Peter.
Slumber Party, Meet Mr. Pony, and The Next 50 Years. Beautiful acting from Brian Austin Green as David.
Thank you.
Next 50 Years is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. But
Yeah.
I'm an Emily fan. So
Yeah.
I would say everything Emily, including the episodes when Brandon goes visit her in San Francisco.
I love those episodes. We have to
I
cover
love
those sometime.
I love those episodes.
Yeah.
And you know, Jamie Walters was huge in Portugal. I remember the radio playing Hold On all the time. All the magazines had Jamie Walters.
Oh, that's cool.
We have to tell Jamie he has to go there. He has to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, what about you?
Let me just say one thing, because this is a trivia, but my birthday is the same as Jason Priestley's.
Oh.
So I am the original Walsh twin, apparently.
Well, I'll make sure I tell him that. Yes.
But like Jason's not Brandon.
You're the triplet, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, oh my God, August 28th. Yes, I'm the same as Jason. That is my reference.
For you, Chris, you said your favorite.
Well, I have to say a very underrated episode is the season 1 finale, Home Again. I think this is
very good. Yeah.
Yes.
I think the show becomes what it is at that moment. I mean, it's the moment that crossed that bridge and we fall in love with these characters, that they're here to stay. The Walsh family is here to stay in our lives forever.
Yes.
Stein, what about you?
I couldn't possibly choose one episode, but I do love the episode when Scott kills himself and David tells Brandon in the booth, "It doesn't matter what you write about him in the paper, Brandon." I love that quote. It's my favorite of all times.
Yeah.
Hold on here while I get my wife to come downstairs so she can actually hear that from you. No, I'm teasing.
I heard the episode when she told about it. I love it.
Oh, thank
It's
you
a
so
perfect
much.
line.
Yeah, it meant a lot to us. That episode more than any changed the series. Not for two reasons. We did a major 3 reasons. We did a major issue. We brought Brenda and Dylan as a couple, and we actually kind of then defined what our show was going to be like. And as we talked about, that episode conceivably saved Luke Perry his job. Because he was important as anybody, and his status rose and not saved his job, but certainly his status rose because of it, and we could start writing for him in a way that we weren't really allowed before then.
How about you, Fabian? Watching the show and also your favorite episodes and characters and all that.
The show was a big hit in Germany as well. Denise might know that as well. Actually, I really loved Claire and Steve together. So Pete, just like
Yeah.
And I also loved, because as you were talking about the favorite episodes, I really, really loved P.S. I Love You, because when Brandon was so drunk, it was very, very fun.
Yeah, we have to cover that, guys. That's
good.
I haven't done that one.
We have Jeff King, the guy who played Charlie, Dylan's friend from rehab. We have him as a guest who's come up
at some point. Yes.
Oh, good, cool.
Okay, and Denise, how about you?
I started watching a little bit later, not from the beginning, but I remember that I went to a bookstore and I saw the first book of 90210 and I said, I have to get it because everyone's watching it. And from that day on, I got hooked. And 90210 became like family. Saturdays was 90210 time. And yeah.
Now, I mean, we didn't pull many clips for the show, but I felt like we had to watch this scene.
Chris gave one, didn't he? I thought there was a Greece one we had. A Greek one.
I gave a TV commercial and a Jenny Garth interview.
I don't have that here for some reason, but I do have this scene that was shot that we all know and love.
Sorry, Chris.
Here is this.
Cervelle de veau.
Wait a second. I ordered veal.
Mais oui, cervelle de veau. Bon appétit.
I don't know about this. Okay, it looks weird, but I'm sure it's edible. You're right. Now I could eat just about anything. It's very, French. It's It's kind of mushy. It's brains.
Classic.
I will forever love that. Great.
We should let them ask us a question. If
Yeah,
anyone has
absolutely.
questions for us.
Do any of you have questions for Charles or Larry?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead.
Ever since this podcast started, and we hear all the stories about the behind the scenes, how you made the show. I want to ask Charles and Larry, during your time on the show, did you think how will you end it eventually?
Great question. That is a great.
Because you were not at the end, and I'm curious, how would you end the show?
I mean, certainly David and Donna were going to get married, which did happen in the end of the show. And for me, the way it was falling out, I mean, I always thought Brandon and Kelly would get together because, obviously, I didn't realize Luke was going to come back to the show at that point. But even so, I always felt that it was Dylan and Brenda was going to go there with it. I did love Steve and Claire together myself, and a lot of that. But again, I think part of what we felt like after college, they should have had great jobs. Again, going by the ordinary kids living extraordinary lives, they should have, been keeping that Beverly Hills ethos going. And that's where it kind of fell off a little bit after college. Not that people shouldn't enjoy it, but it kind of it became a different show at that point.
How about for you, Charles? I don't know if you've ever answered that question about where did you see it going?
I tried to convince the Mister to end it. Let's just do 2 more seasons and end it when they leave college.
That would have made sense.
And that's and all of the things that Larry's talking about were open would have been open for interpretation.
Yeah.
Luke had it that he was only going to be for 12 episodes in season 6. So that Larry and Steve Wasserman, Jessica Klein, they did it that way, and that's what they would have done. Had we been able to convince him to stay around a little longer, who knows what the plotting would have been? You kind of have to deal with what you've got, with who's available, who wants to be, and so that's what we had. For me, I knew the show was very stressful, and I thought for me, I was going to end up in a pine box. So I really had to get off at season 5. That was my how I thought it was going to end. Unfortunately,
he wrote himself off. He wrote himself out of the show.
Yeah, I wrote myself out of the picture.
Our friend Joanna McDonald says, I went to Paris looking for the locations. I couldn't understand why Balzac's house looks so different. I was young and didn't for a moment think that they hadn't really gone to Paris. Haha, that's very funny.
I can tell you one thing. The scene at the bakery store when Donna buys strawberry tarts, something.
Uh-huh.
That is very real. Like you don't just go to a bakery store and start chatting to the person.
I noticed that I'm not going to have Anna. You're obviously from Portugal. You do not have to defend Paris. We love Paris. Larry and I both love Paris. But one thing that I noticed when my wife and I went there as younger people, they didn't want to have anything to do with us. Once we were a little older, there was a little more respect. Maybe they thought we had some more dollars in our pocket. I'm not quite sure what it was, but I found it much nicer as I got older than when I was a young person in France. Do you guys feel that's kind of true in your places too, or is that just Parisian?
Well, the hatred of course.
Okay.
Yes. You have to understand, Charles, that like Portugal will be always different. Portugal is like the European California. Like Portugal, San Francisco, Lisbon is LA, like kind of stuff. But it will always be like the west coast of Europe.
All right, we're going to move on.
Hold on a second. Before we move on, but is there any other questions anyone has? Because also I want to read something from Marcin from Poland, who couldn't make it.
Yeah, I just wanted to know which episode are you the most proudest of? Maybe the one.
Great. 2 great questions. Yes.
Yeah.
Larry, go ahead.
So many.
Oh, wow. I mean, because we've had a chance to look back at these because, Chuck and I really hadn't explored the work. We kind of forgot about it and then we realized it was exciting for people. So we went back and looked and went, oh, that's pretty good. So I felt proud of lots of this stuff. I think for me, the first episode I wrote, Little Fish, which is the first episode of college, and you've got some really nice Dylan Brenda stuff when she comes back after she crashes out at University of Minnesota, and they have that scene on the pier and stuff. And I think seeing that again and setting all the college stuff up, which became, what the format for the next 4 years, was really gratifying to see that, it kind of worked. So I'd say the little fish.
I think for me, there are 3 episodes that stand out. One is you guys have mentioned the first 50 years meant a lot to Karen and I. Nobody wanted us to really make that show, and we did, and it's one that's remembered. The other would be everybody's talking about it. The condoms being distributed in school. The reason being is that after seeing that episode, the city of Los Angeles decided to distribute condoms in school, and the person who changed their vote singled out what we did on 90210. So that gave me a lot of pride. My favorite one, it just happens to be because it was the last one we did in high school, and that was commencement.
Nice.
Did it with Karen. These guys know I love clip shows.
It's a clip show.
Yeah, but it's the best clip show.
Well, but you guys did a clip show in a way that, and we'll talk about this episode at some other time, but you utilized clips in a much different way, in a very cool
I mean,
way.
actually, to tell the story, we use the clips.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than just throwing a bunch of clips.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you because you made like an amazing show, and it connects people all around the world.
Well, thank you for keeping
very
it
good
alive,
friend of
guys.
mine. And we have an Instagram page together, 921 Euro. So yeah, and still alive, and people are loving it all over the world. Hence this podcast.
But let me ask you just one question before you go. None of you get to see the episodes with the original music, am I right?
Yeah, I have all the original music.
No, but I mean live now when it's on your television and any
No, I have
syndication.
rips. I have VHS rips of the original music. Like the one you're talking about, Peter, the next 50 years. One thing that gets in my head is the Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Oh, so good.
We are at the mercy of the DVDs
So
right now.
that's how I know that I have The Wicked Game for Dylan and Brenda, and and then Flaming Lips, playing the Pitch Good After Dark. I have everything. Thank God.
This is a very important issue to Charles and all of us, so we're going to try to start working on.
Do you know they're having a new DV set coming in March?
Yes. Yeah,
the same with the reboot.
Yes.
With the
Why
reboot,
why don't you get all your people to write letters to them saying, why would we buy this if it has all this crummy music on it?
Right.
We were doing this before the first season came out. We were protesting to have the show on DVD back in 2005. We were sending letters to Paramount, and eventually they did, but they have to cut the music.
Did anybody ever respond to any of your letters?
No, it was. I think it was a web page, and it was called TV shows on DVD where you vote.
I know that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
The vote which show wanted to happen on DVD, and it was always on top 5, I think, if I remember correctly. And eventually it happened.
All right. Listen, we got to move on to the next
Thank
one.
you for that.
I got to just add one thing from Poland, from Warsaw, Poland.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. If I could, just because Marcin's been a big podcast supporter. He's always commenting on stuff, and it's again he's a guy from Warsaw who grew up in the '90s and saw it, and he talks about it. He sent me a really nice letter about, right after the fall of communism, how it was a very depressed time in Poland. So seeing the show uplifted him and gave him. Again, we're going to hear this later on from Russia. Also, just this portal of the world where you have some hope. You see some other thing going on, and he had to work really hard to see it. He had his dad put up a satellite thing so he could catch broadcasts from Germany, and that kind of devotion. He's still with it, and I just really want to salute Marcin. And his favorite episodes were Brenda's Laverne and the whole 4th season. So Marcin from Poland, we wish you well.
I just like to say one thing too. Nothing gave me greater pleasure as a writer, because I felt closest to Brandon, a little bit of me in there, and that I could write at times when he wanted to stimulate his peers' political awareness. Say, look at the kids of Europe. And certainly those from Germany, particularly, I would specifically reference that wall coming down. So I want you to know that we were listening when all the changes were happening. We were listening, and let's just all, both in the United States and while your country, let's turn back the clock again. Right?
Yes.
Get it back to that spirit of the 90s.
Yeah, it's looking good.
All right.
More fun in 21.
Where are we going next, guys?
UK and Ireland.
Goodbye, everybody.
But when we come back from the UK, before we come back, we'll have a little shirt ad, and then we'll be back with UK.
Okay. Do you know we have even more new shirts and merchandise at Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com? For instance, watch our Planet 90210 show with some sick Planet 90210 merch. Or want to celebrate at the Peach Pit? Check out this new shirt with a photo from Jill Henkel's collection. Or, oh my god, I know Claire Arnold fans are going to love this one. A little sex, rock, and really decent literature. Plus, for all you Larry Mullen fans, that's right, a Get Outta Here shirt! And don't forget about our classic designs. We keep loading it up with more items each week, so head over to Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com for all your 90210 stuff.
Okay.
Oh.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
All right. Connor, thank you so much. And Louise and Joe and Joanna.
Yeah.
We've had 3 musical guests on this show, right? We've had Color Me Bad, we've had Jamie Walters, and Connor.
Yay!
You know, Connor's music, I found it on Apple Music and Spotify, so if you want to check him out.
Yes.
Definitely representing. Yes, and we just sprung this on him last night, so props for learning it so quickly. Good job.
I can only apologize.
That was wonderful.
I, for a while there, Connor, I thought I was watching Once all over again.
All right, well, let's get into this. Let's talk about it for our UK fans. What
and Ireland.
What was important? What was it like watching 90210 for you guys? Let's start with Joe.
Oh, what wasn't it? It was just everything. I dreamt about moving to America and living in America, going to high school in America, going to college in America. Everything was America. I was just obsessed. And Beverly Hills 90210 just gave me that porthole almost, just to go across and be in that life and pretend that I was part of the 90210 gang. Why not? It was pretty boring in London. Secondary school is not like high school. It's very different. No cheerleaders, no American football players, none of that kind of thing. No proms. I mean, we have things like that now, which is great, but we didn't have it in the 90s. So it was just an escape. And it was such a mystical place, Beverly Hills. And that was the whole point, right? That you picked that destination because it was so untouchable. And then we got to have a part of it, which was just fantastic. It was brilliant.
Yeah. How about, do you have a favorite character or an episode?
Me?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Represent.
Sorry, I can't help it. But also Brenda, obviously. We don't even need to ask that. Yeah. And favorite episode, I had so many, but for the first one, Beach Blanket Brandon, Isn't It Romantic? I love. And So Long, Farewell, Avida, Saying Goodbye. I loved that. And I loved the first few of season 4. I thought they were fantastic when Brenda comes back from the college. And I just love those episodes at the beach as well.
Yeah. Nice. How about you, Louise?
Very similar. I think like the sort of base in London at the time, it was, as Joe said, it was very different. So Saturday nights for us were just get on the plane to Beverly Hills. And it was absolutely amazing. It was complete escapism. And like you say, you just wanted to be there with them. You wanted to be in that school. You wanted to be part of the gang. You wanted to be going out with Dylan, and you wanted to be Brenda. And yeah, it was, everything else didn't matter. It got to 5 o'clock on a Saturday and everything stopped. And that was it. For the next hour, you stayed there and you watched it again on VHS as soon as it finished. And, it was just totally engrossing, but it was fantastic. So yeah, Dylan and Brenda, absolutely my favourite characters. The first few seasons for me were by far my favourites. And episodes wise, I mean, Wildfire, Meeting Mr. Pony was mentioned just a little while ago. That was a great episode. Isn't It Romantic? Many people's favourites, but yeah, it was just such a big part of our lives, I think, over here. And yeah, totally took over us as young teenagers.
Preaching. There you go.
Yeah.
So just to all people around the country know this, Larry and I met Louise when she came to the U.S. for a weekend. Her husband let her out to come here and to be at the fan fest that Brian Austin Green put together in the summer of 2019. I guess.
Yeah.
Our friend Maggie says she met you there as well, right?
Yes, she did. Hi, Maggie.
Oh, Louise knows everyone.
It is such an incredible weekend.
I know Darren said you're a close friend as well. It's brilliant.
It's it's amazing people we met there. I was with Darren and met so many amazing people, and it was absolutely incredible that weekend. There's just no words to describe what happened that weekend. It was fantastic.
Yeah, so the big shout out to Darren Martin, who's friendly with everybody here,
and Jen Len Ben.
Yeah, absolutely, we love them all.
Awesome.
And definitely a connector of all of us for so long. The award show is the right clip now. The award show. Yes. Okay.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
There's the very well-deserved award for you there.
Very good. That's for all of you. All right.
Well
Thank
done.
you, Michael.
Congratulations. So obviously an incredibly popular choice has been judged in here. Have you been surprised by the program's success? Not just in the States, but over here as well.
Yeah, I think I can speak for everyone. It's been very surprising. It's you never expect success. You hope for it, but you can never really expect it. And it's been great for all of us the way the show's taken off. We're real happy to be here.
I have a question I've got to ask you there, and it's about the bungee jumping, which I know you've been asked a lot about. What do they say when it comes to insuring you, Jason, when you're going bungee jumping?
Well, we try not to talk about it too much on the sets, and when the higher ups are around, they're not really too thrilled about it.
I should imagine they're probably not. And also, about your 55-gallon saltwater fish tank that you've got. Oh, just as dangerous, I would have thought, if it burst. Is that true? Have you really got that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I guess it would be dangerous if we did have an earthquake and it did go. But I have a plexiglass tank, so it won't break that easily.
What made you suddenly decide that you were going to get a 55-gallon saltwater aquarium? What's the attraction with the fish?
I think I was Aquaman in my last life. I'm not sure. I like water. It's fun. What?
He could have the ocean in his room.
What about the girls? What sort of stuff do you do in your spare time? Now we've got you here.
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
Yes.
What is this? Knot tying, or is that a
Yes,
martial
it's a
art?
form of knot tying, and I'm very good now. It is a martial art, and I didn't do it for self-defense. I did it for fun.
And Jenny, also, you're quite involved in animal rights as well, aren't
Right. Yeah, I'm an animal lover, so.
So how far does that go? What do you get involved in?
Basically, I'm not in any organizations yet. I'm just kind of doing my part and loving animals, That's about it.
What about you, Shannon? What about you?
What do I like to do? Oh, I like to date.
Wow.
Okay.
I like that.
Dude, that clip is so awesome. Who sent that to us?
Really. And also, I did have to, Larry, it was the episode of the Gentle Art of Listening. I had to, we had switched producers at that point, and Paul Wagner, who was a little few years older, said, I had to go walk over to Jason Priestley and tell him to get off the skateboard that he was taking in a real downhill. We were up in the hills of the Santa Monica Mountains, and having to say to him, Jay, you can't do this. About the insurance. What do you mean I can't do it? You can't do it. So the bungee jumping, I think Mr. Spelling would have, his hair would have gotten more white if he had known that the bungee jumping involved.
What about Iron's fish tank? What was that? That was where was that? That was left.
I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
Sharknado stuff. Yeah.
I was thinking, it was like, we're always Sharknado.
Did you know that about about Gabrielle, that she was doing that martial arts? Had you been?
I knew that Shannon was about dating. I did know that.
That seems to be right.
But the others, not so much.
Yeah, Jenny seems
and Jenny with the animals, too, yes. Because
I love
she did
Jenny.
become an activist after that.
Jenny in that clip is great. I'm not with any organization like animals. We didn't get to Connor about Joanna and Connor. Or Joanna, what about you watching the show? What was it like to watch the show, and what do you have, like, favorite episodes? Or
I do have favourite episodes. I have 3 favourite episodes. The first one is Things to Do on a Rainy Day. And
that's very
the second one is it's Turn Back the Clock with the Cause.
Good.
And I also like, I've forgotten the name of the episode. Now I'm here.
Turn Back the Clock is a very underrated episode.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's the one that I did want to talk about really today because I was a fan of the Cause and I was quite excited at the time to see them perform on the show. It was quite a big deal, I think, for them to be performing when they did. And it was just out of interest really to know what your experience was with working with them back in the day and how it all came about really.
Yeah, I had heard about them and had heard their album, and I heard they were going to be in the United States at that point. So yeah, I went out and tried to get them. I just thought they'd be perfect for that, and they were lovely to look at, and they were a family. I think 3 of the 5 were brothers and sisters. Connor, did you know them? I think they're from Ireland, right?
They are, yeah. But I don't know them.
Yeah, I mean, and plus they had that version of Old Lang Syne, which was going to work great for the New Year's show.
that was brilliant.
So that was it for me. But yeah.
Connor, how about you?
My memory of it is like there was one summer, I must have been about like 12 or 13 or something like that, where RTE, which is like the Irish TV channel, they decided to broadcast an episode every day, Monday to Friday. So I just remember that entire summer getting into, I think, maybe 3 or 4 series worth of the show and just getting hooked. I just, it's been said a million times and rightly so, like, it's just an incredible show. Regardless, I mean, I loved it as a kid, but if it came out today and it was the same format, the same people, the same writing, same direction, I think I'd love it just as much as an adult as I did back then. It's just brilliantly made, brilliantly performed. And I was recently rewatching some like series 2, and some of the topics that's covered like back to back in shows in series 2. It's just amazing that like really pretty edgy stuff is dealt with one after the other. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing this.
What about the music acts we had? I'm curious because you're a musician yourself. What music acts did you like seeing?
Oh yeah, well I see, because I only saw it because you can't. Well, I can't. Most of us can't get access to the original broadcast. It's hard to remember. I remember REM's music being fairly prominent.
Yes.
Especially for Dylan.
Yeah.
It really represented him. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember, like, I think people have mentioned like the bands that played in After Dark and stuff like that. I suppose that
they had Luther Vandross.
They did.
What?
For Valentine's Day.
That was
and
amazing.
What about the Rolling Stones? It was a minor act.
Yeah, they have.
The music's great.
And of course, Jamie Walters, our favorite.
Connor, what about you? Favorite? Do you have a favorite episode?
It's actually been said quite a lot. The next 50 years. I think that's amazing, truly amazing episode. I think Brian is absolutely incredible in that. And I don't know why, but I always forget that. Oh God, I can't remember his name now.
Doug Emerson.
Yeah. I forget that it happens at his birthday party. On his birthday. That's just like the poignancy of that is just, and the aftermath is just incredible, just brilliant.
And it was Guns N' Roses played in that scene, if I remember correctly, originally.
Well, you know what we had to do. When you license a song in that era, you'd have to get the publishing and then the recording itself. Well, Bob Dylan, pretty much at those years, anything you wanted of his music, he just went, fine, take it. He didn't really care so much. He wasn't really following it that much at that point. But Guns N' Roses said no, because Axl Rose is Axl Rose. So what we did instead is that was a good friend of mine is an entertainment lawyer and with very good clients, and she had a young girl band and said, they'll go in and they'll record it for you so that we could have a different recording. So that is a garage band. I mean, that is not real. I don't know what happened to those women, but they came in and we did one recording. So that's the soundtrack that you hear on the original. It's not Guns N' Roses.
That was a good representative. Yeah, that was a good cover.
Yeah, so they did it in the same style.
Really
Oh,
good.
very
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay,
Brilliant.
I think O'Connor, do you have a favorite female? Since we don't have a lot of guys.
Funny you should ask that, Pete. Kathleen. No. I don't know really.
Come on, Connor. Team Kelly or Team Brenda? Which one is it?
You're under pressure.
I won't answer it.
Plead the fifth.
I would, if it was me, it would be Kelly. But yeah. But
I get it.
there you go.
Yep.
But they're all fabulous in their own way. So,
I'm Team Claire, by the way, as you guys know.
We know.
I had to say it once in this episode. All right, we are going to move on to our next group.
Well, before we go, does anyone else have a question to ask us about that you're here?
Can I ask a question actually? Because Charles, you went to the beach location for the beach house, and I went there quite a few times. I've gone and seen almost every location I can from the show. I actually met the owner at the time, and he told me that they filmed the finale there, where David wrote in the sand for Donna.
Oh, maybe.
And I'm curious. Can you confirm? Was that the case? Because you said it was only filmed at twice
when he was there.
So I'm really curious if this
Great.
is
I will
accurate.
find that. I
find that out.
I can ask Gretchen and Aaron if that happened. Yes, I will find.
Okay.
Yeah, I will find.
And also the
we've never seen the ending, so we've never seen the last episode.
I know what you're talking about, and it does feel like you would have shot there because of how
it was right outside. Yeah. And also the person told me that he was there at the time of filming, and they were like being held in the apartment. So I was just curious if that was the case.
Oh, you mean they went down to Hermosa Beach?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because you could get it. Yeah, well, I'm sure it was because you could get
Just
a
one
permit.
time. Yeah,
I'm
one
talking
time.
about when we were filming there and they kicked us out.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
But I guess they must have enough time must have passed after
Yeah,
that
I think
happened
so.
that they got a permit to do it once. I would imagine.
I
right?
knew that the show was great probably by then, and thought, okay.
I think that's probably what happened. Yeah.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on to the next group. Where are we going next, Melanie?
We're going to
Thank you so much.
Canada. Okay, here we are.
Canada, here we are.
Where's Zara? What's going on?
We are waiting on Zara
Hi, Kristen.
and
Hi,
Jennifer.
Kelly.
Hello.
You know,
Hello. Yeah, Zara was there an hour before, but now he's back.
She was. She'll be here soon. Yeah.
and we're missing also
Jennifer.
right here,
Jennifer,
Yeah.
right?
from Toronto, and Chris, and from Kelly's from Toronto, and Kristen's from the Calgary, from Calgary.
Now, the one thing I want these viewers to know that it had been 30 years ago, and you were friends with Jason Priestley, you would have been on the TV show too. Because
I know, right?
any Canadian, if they knew Jason, they were on the show. That was
It's amazing how another actor from Vancouver. Okay, sure.
Right.
He played hockey once with Jason, so it's close enough. 6 degrees of Jason Priestley. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? Welcome. This is
How are
great.
you guys?
Good.
Good, thanks.
This is great. Hey, before we get into the next thing, Melanie, I want you to be able to talk about the Valentine's hunt that you're doing while we have everybody's attention here. Why don't you tell me quickly what's happening? We're doing another hunt. I love it.
We are February 11th through the 15th. It is a super fun virtual scavenger hunt. Lots of prizes up for grabs. Anybody can participate with a smartphone from anywhere. And it's going to be a great time. Go to 90210hunts.com to register. And we're going to be focusing on the couples of 90210 and the Valentine's Day episodes.
very cool.
Yes.
All right. And let's get to Kristen. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of good questions. You always bring the questions. Not to say that everybody doesn't bring good questions, but Kristen usually always has some good ones. So do you have any questions for Charles and Larry? And then we'll get into your Canadian experience.
Yeah, I do. Just wondering, out of all the actors, who flubbed their lines the most and who was the best at their lines?
Good. That's a great question.
Well, Shannon undoubtedly was the best at her lines because she seemed to have
and
a
Gabrielle.
photographic memory.
And Gabrielle. Those two would be
Shannon. Yeah, would come in and just look at it and go with it. She really had that skill. You know, she had been an actress since she'd been, just out of the womb, I think, and just it was natural to her. But the flub lines thing, that's interesting. Anything on that, Chuck? We're going to out somebody. One thing you have to realize is that we, as the writer producers, we really weren't on the set that much to really see the torture. So we'd have to actually see take 12, take 13, take 14.
Yeah, that didn't happen too much. I think the one, he didn't flub his lines, but certainly you guys probably think, especially in the high school episodes before Larry came on and we tried to be a little more humor, you probably think that we wrote some really funny lines for Ian Ziering, but he made them all up. He was our best ad-libber, he and Jason. And I love Luke, but Luke would try to do it, and Luke's ad-libs wouldn't make it into the. But Ian was the star of ad. I don't know if he did improv or what, but it was so funny, and so those were. I don't think he flubbed his lines, but he certainly took liberty with them.
And Jason too, especially on the ending of scenes. Jason would always have some stuff. And yeah, they had some great stuff. I mean, I have to say they made us look good so many times. Those two guys.
Yeah, but let me ask you guys about your experience watching the show. Kelly, what was it like in Canada?
Oh, it was all the rage. Everyone watched it. Parents, like my parents watched it. My friends' parents watched it. My younger brother watched it. His friends watched it. They were kind of like 10 at the time. I was 13. When we all watched like right from the premiere. It was huge. And it would I remember we would have some exchange students come to the school, and that was the common denominator from whatever country they were from. It was like 90210. Yeah, and it was huge.
And Jennifer, do you have that same sort of experience?
Yeah, I was introduced to the show by my younger sister. And then before you know it, everyone in our household, all of our friends at school, at high school was watching the show. And my sister really wanted me to watch the show to see this hot Canadian actor. So she liked Jason and I liked Dylan. And so that's kind of how it started. So it was life-changing for me, growing up. It really definitely helped me to make some life changes that I made in my life in the middle of the show. So I really want to thank Charles and Larry for writing such great scripts that really touched so many people around the world. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Let me ask you a question that no one else would be probably asking you but I was always surprised. We're writing the show, and gosh, people like it. Isn't that great? And then all of a sudden, when we became more popular, this new subspecies of viewer came out called the haters. How did you deal with those guys? You must have had a couple of haters in Canada, didn't you?
Yeah, like there was the whole "I hate Brenda Walsh" period of time.
That's kind of where it started.
Yeah, and I love Brenda, so yeah, it was. People fought. Like it was controversial. Like everybody had their favorites, but when the Brenda thing, the Brenda haters came up, it was quite something.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Hi. Karen, thank you for everything you did on the show. I love all your episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been asking people what are their favorites, and isn't it romantic?
Yeah,
Lots of rating. Mr. Pony. So you're in here. All
right. So Kelly, did you watch it from Toronto? You grew up in Toronto?
Yes. Yep. Right from day one. I remember the summer 1990. It was advertised, and I was a big magazine buyer. And it was funny because it wasn't Shannon and Jason really that they were pushing. It was always the same picture of Brian and Douglas. at the valet parking in the parking lot when it was still called Class of Beverly Hills. And that seemed to be the same picture that all the Teen Bopper magazines used to promote the show. And I remember like reading and going, oh, this sounds really great. I hope we get, because that's always the thing, oh God, will we get it in Canada? that was always the main thing. And then sure enough, saw the ads for it on Global. And as I had mentioned previously, we actually, for the first, probably almost first season, we got it Sunday nights instead of Thursday nights when the US got it. And it was kind of around dinner time. And I remember it was must-see TV, and Monday morning at school, that's what everyone talked about. But I found it interesting was in season 1 for March break, we went to Florida. And it didn't seem like people were really talking about it in the States. Like it was, everybody talked about it like that I knew. And then my brother actually reminded me of this yesterday. My dad had a USA Today, and they always had the ratings of the TV shows. And the newest episode was like number 98 out of 100. And we were like, oh my God, is it going to get canceled? Like that freaked us right out. We're like, who is it? Why are people watching this? This is the most amazing show. What is wrong with Americans?
Kristen, where did you watch it? You were watching in Saskatchewan?
Yes. So I'm from a small town, about 1,600 people. And I actually didn't see any advertisements or previews or anything. I just happened to be home one night and I caught the end of season 1, season finale. And it was right when they were at the Peach Pit saying goodbye and everything. And everyone was talking into the video camera. And I just laid eyes on Luke Perry and I was like, that is the hottest, most gorgeous guy I've ever seen in my life. And just right there, I was hooked.
Yeah. These are not from Canada, but somebody sent some really cool images of Luke in various magazines and whatnot. I think these were even like young Jason there, and these two, right? Whew, really, really cool stuff. How about you, Kristen? Favorite episode? Do you have a favorite episode?
Well, I have tons, but 3 that stand out are the Color Me Bad episode, the camping trip, and the one where Dylan injures his rib or something in the surfing accident.
That's right.
And he has to stay at the Walshes. And then also Kelly and Kyle are on that episode. I love that. But they're all so good. I love everything.
Hi, Zara.
Hey, you are.
Zara, let me ask you. Hey, it's good to see you. It's awesome to have you here again, as always. Zara, how did you find out about Beverly Hills 90210?
My elementary school teacher was so obsessed with the show, and I was 8 years old, and we had indoor recess one day, and she was just flipping from Young and the Restless and 90210. She recorded 90210, so me and my friends used to sneak in in her room in the office space, and we used to I saw Brenda and Dana, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. and back then though, 8 years, when I was 8, it was like it's like the teenage years, because being 8 years old back then, it was a completely different decade. So
yeah,
I was into the gossip, I was into love, so that's when I first fell in love with 90210.
What about, do you have a favorite episode?
I loved the episode when Brenda and Dan just went on a date together.
Yeah.
And I loved the episode where Steve found out he was not the father of he was not the son of his mom. So
That's
he
right.
just found out that he was adopted, and I thought that was really powerful. And I loved when Donna found out her mom was having an affair, and that was intense. And one more thing, I love the scene where Gina found out that Donna was her sister. So.
I love that too. I love that. Yes. I have a personal story I won't share with that, but yes, I do love that. And I know that you love Vanessa, right?
Oh!
Vanessa's post you guys, but you do love Vanessa, right?
I love her. I respect her, and she's just incredible, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. What about? Did we ask Jennifer for a favorite episode? Did we ask that question?
Well, I became hooked in 1992 with the Dylan and Kelly storyline because I just loved how the writers took their time to blossom that relationship. And so my favorite episode is Rebel with a Cause, and the child is the father to the man. So, Rebel with a Cause, I'm into astronomy, so I really loved that the Griffiths Observatory was selected as their first date. So whenever I'm in LA, I hike up the hill and I go there. It's just so beautiful. And the child is the father to the man, great writing and acting by Luke. And I'm just surprised that he was nominated for an Emmy for that acting that he did. So those are my favorite episodes.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite character? Is it Luke? Is that obvious? Should I know that?
Yes, isn't it obvious?
It's so funny because
and I have to say,
a little respect.
Yeah, I mean, when he passed away, like many of his fans, I was devastated, and I've never felt such loss and grief for someone that I didn't know. Same. And, I said to myself, I've got to go and meet these actors whenever I have an opportunity. And so last year I went to see Jenny and Tori on their tour in Washington, and that was really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, you guys should know that when one of the conversations that I had with a major CBS executive a few months before Luke passed was him telling me that, there's no way we're going to change the music because you don't have that many fans. And it's just too bad that your cast really didn't have much stardom after they finished the show. And he actually said that to me. So then I never got back to him after Luke passed, but clearly the fans that our show engendered and the actors engendered were really special. And again, thank you for keeping our show alive for all these years, because it certainly wasn't the CBS corporation who bought the spelling library that kept it alive. You guys did.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was, and Chuck, we talked about this before, but I mean, the show, it did not get a lot of respect at the time. And so that's why the actors did not get the nominations. Like Luke should have gotten a nomination for that tour de force for the child, the father, the man. But it's just, it was considered a spelling show, which had a negative connotation as far as art goes. It was a popular thing. People would put it down, oh, it's popular. So we had to live with that all the time, but we knew we were making something special. And I think the way the fans have kept it going all these years, it's been very satisfying and gratifying.
And hopefully one of the video casts we do in 2021 is to go over the show's relationship with the American press, which was quite interesting, to say the least. And you can see all the scars on my body all over the bludgeoned me.
I think what Jennifer said, I want to take a moment to just say something, because what she said about the devastating loss about Luke Perry, I shut down for like 2 weeks after that happened. I was devastated, absolutely devastated by his passing and his loss. He felt like a brother, even though, like you said, we didn't know him. And I've gotten to know him through this show. And to hear how many people have just said these beautiful, wonderful things about the person behind Dylan, it's so touching. And it's so nice to know that there was validity in how I felt in that moment when we lost him.
Oh yeah. Well, Larry and I, we both went to the official memorial that they had for Luke at Warner's, where he was doing Riverdale. And prior to that, I think a couple of weeks before, there was a very small gathering that first weekend night at Gabriel Carteris's, and with not just cast members, but a few crew members as well. I think Karen and I were the writers who were represented there, and it was very sad. And we still doing all these podcasts. It's like, where are you, Luke? Why aren't we talking to you about all of this?
I've had that moment myself.
He did so much to make it happen.
Yeah. How great would it have been to see his face in one of these virtual windows when we were talking about Child is the Father of the Man, right?
Well, the amazing thing is that all the guest stars all have the same story. How, when they're on this strange, set, which is intimidating, and Luke would be the first one to come over them and make them feel welcome. I mean, the same story over and over. I mean, it's just that his character was, we now can see it, unfortunately.
Now, do any of you else have questions for Chuck and Larry? Zara, do you have a question for Charles or Larry about anything that you want to know?
I think the questions I wanted to ask have been answered. I wanted to ask, how would you like the show to be ended? But
yeah,
they did that. We did it.
It's already been answered.
I have a good answer for that. We don't want the show to be ended. It should always be open-ended. It should be continuing, just like our lives, because these characters were alive to us. So maybe if Donna and David got married, maybe they got divorced and then had to find themselves down the road again. I mean, there would have been so many twists and turns.
I think because of our close relationship to our fans and friends in Canada, I think this was one we've teased this once, and it wasn't going to be happening. It's January, probably won't be happening to April, but we're going to be doing something called the Writers' Room.
That's right.
In which you guys are going to tell Larry and I what you want to have happen, and we'll pretend we're producers and moguls, and we'll come together and about to happen with every one of your characters and what you want to see. And so the show is not going to end. It's going to get reborn.
Exactly. I wanted to ask, do you have any guest stars you really wanted to be on the show but never did happen?
You mean the podcast? You don't mean the podcast or the actual show? Yeah.
And the actual show.
Got it.
Well, you're going to be very surprised who I wanted to come on the show. I wanted Martin Lawrence to come on the show. He had a show on Fox at the time, and I actually got on the phone with him. There was one other really fine actor, whose name escapes me now, who I wanted to play the Vicelis Shannon part there, and we talked to Lawrence Tate.
Ice Cube, maybe?
Lawrence Tate. Do you remember that actor?
Lawrence Tate.
Larry, do you have an answer to that question?
Well, those are the two that I know that came to mind. I don't know if you had any, Larry, that you guys went after.
I wanted Sydney Penny. She did go do the show later on. But we couldn't work it out. She was a soap star at the time. But most people, came on that we wanted. I mean, I think we did pretty good. We were always very happy with our guest stars. We wanted Wings Hauser. That was a cool one. Obviously,
got Chuck
helped with that.
Well, I got to say, Karen brought me a cup of coffee because she knows I'm addicted to caffeine. And look what cup she put it in. But first, 90210. The butt's gone there. But
that's awesome.
Hey, how about you, Kelly? Any questions for these two?
Yes, I do have a quick question, and it's never come up, so I kind of think it's not true. But I had read an interview with Ben Affleck. This was going way back. And he said when he came to Hollywood, he had auditioned for a role on 90210 and did not get it. And the time frame he was speaking, I thought it might be Dean Cain's Rick role. And I'm just wondering, do you remember Ben Affleck auditioning for a part back in the early 90s?
Well, truthfully, I think I mentioned this before, that was not, I didn't feel as strong starting out that casting was my strong suit, even though I was lucky to, right off the bat, cast James Eckhouse and Luke Perry. So I was very wary of casting. So the instruction to our casting director, Diane Young, was you pre-read a lot of people and you just bring us 3 or 4. We had so much, we just didn't have that much time to do these long, massive casting sessions. So Ben could have conceivably read for her.
That made the cut.
Yeah, and so that we would never have met him.
Jennifer, how about you? Any questions for these two?
Yeah, Chuck, you had shared that Luke had wanted more scenes with the blonde. So I want to know, what was his reaction when he found out that Kelly would be moving on to Brandon, his BFF?
Great question.
Luke was all for the show. Luke was all for the storylines. And if it was made for good storytelling, he was all for it. I don't think the only thing it's interesting. One of you were I think it was this past. Excuse me if I confused. about the one about when we went up to the Rebel Without a Cause or Rebel with a Cause?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rebel
boy,
with a Cause
he did
is one
not
of my
want to do
favorites,
any
yes.
of that. He was really not happy because he had this thing because people said, God, you look like James Dean, and he didn't want that at all. So to even put him up there and make the set saying, hey, this is where they filmed Rebel Without a Cause, didn't go over so well, as I remember.
Really?
Luke was a wonderful young man. He was a wonderful old man. But, you know, like all people, you get certain things go and you mature over time. And I think he probably got over that because as he aged, he looked less and less like James Dean, right?
Yeah.
So it was okay. You know.
All right, we have to travel and move on to our next panel. Where are we?
It's a long flight. We're going
It's been a long
hemisphere,
flight.
southern hemisphere.
Come visit
Yes,
us. We're not
thank
that
you
far
for
away.
coming to Canada.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Back to LA.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Mike.
you.
Ay, ay.
Okay.
Oh.
All
Hello.
right.
Hi.
We've got almost everyone. We're just waiting on Peter and Thati.
I took advantage of that globe.
I knew something was going on. I had to. I substituted Karen in. You guys noticed.
I caught that. Yeah.
Clever.
Right.
All right. Here we go. And now we just need our friend Peter Goldworthy.
That's who everybody wants to see.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, I see Larry.
I was in the lounge at the 747.
Oh,
are you?
Having a drink.
Larry was in the lounge.
You could, she got a Richland Walsh, okay.
I love that.
From Argentina, and Lilia, my friend, and Thati from Belo Horizonte.
I wonder if you want to play cards.
Wow, look at this.
What are those?
Oh, he's got the cards.
Yes.
Those
are from 1993.
Oh, wow. All right, a lot's going on here. Let's start with Brazil. Talk to me about watching 90210 in Brazil.
Well, actually, I was 4 when the show first started, like 1990. I was 4 years old.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I only watched the show in 2002 for the first time. So yeah, it ended in 2000, and I first watched the show in 2002. And I kind of knew what the show was about and everything. There was a fuzz going on about Beverly Hills 90210 and rich kids and everything. So I kind of grew up knowing what the show was about, and I was like, okay, so now I have a chance to watch the show, so let's watch the show because I have heard so much about the show. Let's see it. And then I started watching it. I wasn't really in a good moment in my life, and it was really nice because the show really helped me a lot. And it was nice. It was a nice time, and I fell in love. I say it's like love at the first episode, you know. Since the first episode, I just fell in love with it.
Nice.
And I found a lot of cool stuff, you know, between my life and the show. I found a lot of things I could relate to. So it was really nice.
What happened to Peter?
You know what? I just emailed and messaged him. I'm not sure where he is.
You may have panicked.
Here he is. Here he is.
There's our Australian representative, Peter. We were worried
Peter
about
Goldsworthy. Yes.
Hi, Peter.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And for Yuka and Peter, it's really early in the morning, especially Yuka. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning there. Peter's got about 8, I think. Oh, it's so good to see everybody.
I want to know from Peter Goldsworthy about watching 90210 in Australia. How did you find the show?
Just going back to 1990 when the promos and the hype of the show started to come on. Just looked like something I had to watch. I just met my now wife, and it was the first time we actually sat down and watched together religiously. It was sort of something that built with us as our relationship grew.
Well, Pete, you maybe not know this, that our original associate producer was named Olivia Hannish. She did the first 2 seasons, and Olivia is an Aussie. She's back in Australia, and I've actually reached out to her to come on the show with us. So, it might be easier for you to get in touch with her. But Australia has been represented by this show from the beginning. And I believe that it aired in Australia in the same way that it was with Canada. Right from the start, we were on in Australia. I don't think you were a year later. Maybe you were, but I think from the start.
Yeah. And also, I was going to actually have the guy who played Bloody Roo, the band, the one Australian actor who you hated his accent. I was trying to find.
I just saw this episode this afternoon.
You have to find him.
I know you felt bad that Australia was kind of slighted in that episode, but it was good for the character, Bloody Roo.
He's very rude to Claire, from what I remember in that episode. Yes. Okay. How about Yuka? Why don't you talk to us about finding the show Beverly Hills 90210? How did you first hear of it?
In Japan, it started in 1992 on satellite channel, but I didn't know the show at the time. For 4 years later, when I was zapping channel on Sunday midnight, I watched a rerun of season 1 in 1996 for the first time on terrestrial channel on ground radio wave channel, which is educational programs. Maybe that was the season final. Yeah.
It's interesting that they treated it as an educational program. What do you think about that?
Really, many kinds of social issues was featured in the episode, right? Like a drug, racist, harassment, or something, blah, blah, blah. That's why the show was opportunity for me to develop more global viewpoint. Yeah.
That's cool. That's great. Charles, did you know it was on that channel in Japan?
No.
I was introduced to it in school. So again, they treated it like educational programming. BYOB, they made us watch that episode. That's how I first found 90210.
Wow.
Yeah. So the whole Brandon, car incident, whatever. Okay. What about Morrow?
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
How are you? Well, I started, I think I was 8 when the show appeared and aired. Here at first it was once a week, and then all the summers it was a daily show from Monday to Friday, and it was great because it was like an open window because there was no internet, so we can know new places and new ways of life.
Nice.
That's what Laura.
Yes.
That's what Brian Austin Green always says. That the secret for our success was that there was no internet. This show could not have worked if you had other ways to get your introduction to what life in an affluent part of the United States like Beverly Hills was. He felt very strongly about that we came along in the right time.
Hey, Morrow, you had told me privately that you wound up trying to learn English. You want to tell that story about?
That's correct. Because here is the dubbing is in Spanish for all Latin America. So, for example, it's the same voice in Beverly Hills 90210. I can watch, for example, Brandon, the same voice in Law and Order. So it was quite strange. What is Valerie Malone doing in New York? I mean, it was quite strange. So then, with the SAP, that option that you can hear the real voices, okay, really motivate me to learn English. Actually, yes, that was
That's
one
great.
of the
Yeah,
reasons.
I mean, we've heard
For
that.
example, I always
times,
remember. Yes, like I say, like traveling. For example, the episode, what was the name? Rather Love, season 4, episode 12, when Brandon goes to San Francisco and met Emily. Do you remember that view?
Sure.
with the great music? Okay, I still have it in my mind. And for example, acting out. I love acting out. Brenda walking at the beach.
Tennessee Williams,
I don't know if you remember with the original music. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome for me because I was learning English and knowing new places.
And we have our Russian friend here, right?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
This is my friend Lily Kim, who I met in St. Petersburg in 2007. And I just tell the story before you're going to speak. Everyone told me she's a writer. We were doing a television series. They told me she is the most difficult woman in the world. So we brought you in to talk to her. She's fired everybody else. I had no idea she was a 90210 fan. I was made in the shade. I was in with her from the beginning. So tell your story, Lydia.
Okay, so hello guys. I'm really happy to be here today with you, and thank you for Charles and Larry for shaping the dreams of the whole post-Soviet generation. Because I was 12 when Beverly Hills the first time aired in Russia. It was one of three. It was a federal network, and that was 1992. The Soviet Union just collapsed, and it was like any apocalyptic movie, any post-apocalyptic movie you ever see, except it wasn't a movie. So it was a really grim time, like no job, no future, like everybody confused, nobody know how we're gonna live. And I was live at the military base, because my father was a naval officer, and then this military base was deeply behind the Arctic Circle. So it basically was like Alaska, just post-apocalyptic Alaska. Oh, so this was really grim. And suddenly this show was like a portal to another dimension. At first, that was reality which we never ever saw and never couldn't imagine that something like that could exist on Earth, because that was I don't know if anybody remember the Cold War times. The Soviet Union were absolutely separate place. There were curtain which hide the rest of the world from Soviet people, so we couldn't know that they actually do not have many things. And suddenly this was a window that was wide open and show us wow. So today a lot of fans from all over the globe told that how much they were carried away and how much they were impressed with this Beverly Hills lifestyle of the rich kids. Believe me, the post-Soviet teens were the most oppressed ones. So that was just a shock that it could exist somewhere else. And that was actually very interesting because I was a huge fan of the show. And when I became a writer, and Sony told me that Larry Mullen, who was one of the creators of Beverly Hills, gonna come to Moscow and be my mentor, I was just like several weeks after, I tried to awake my husband and ask him if I'm not hallucinating. Like, because my ex-husband is psychiatrist, so that was extremely funny because I always try to awake him and say, please tell me that I didn't lost my mind, that it's all not hallucination, that it's really happening. And then when Larry came to St. Petersburg first, I think I really creeped him out because I look at him all the time like, and I think I really tried to touch him all the time. That was before all this no touching stuff. So, I think I all the time like try to tap him to check if he's real.
Right.
Yeah. So and. Because of that, probably he lived pretty quickly. Like he told, okay, I'm gonna walk with you from Santa Monica. But after several years, like I think after probably 5 years, I came to Santa Monica and says, Larry, hello, I'm your neighbor now. Like I'm gonna live here.
She followed her dream.
You should know that I remember now. In my memory, it is not after the fall of the Soviet Union, but prior. So it's still maybe 91. Getting summonsed. Christine Pettit walks in my office, Larry, and says, "Mr. Spelling needs to see you now." Oh, Christ! So I got to walk down the hallway, know what's going to be. And what he's got is a letter from probably one of your friends. This one was from Moscow, talking about what it meant to see an American television show like ours there, and how much it gave them hope for the future, et cetera, et cetera. And he was so proud of that, so proud of the fact that the show was distributed in the Soviet Union before, as I say, when it looked like that there would never be someone like Putin again. But of course, that's
all right. Let's go around and see if we can find out who everybody's favorite characters are and what their favorite episodes are. Yuka?
My favorite episode, Christmas episode and Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character is Brenda and Valerie.
Valerie.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Hey, we met Yuka.
Yeah.
Chuck and I met Yuka when she was here. She was on the Brandon,
Yes,
Brian Austin
absolutely.
Grady tour also. She was on
Yeah.
the tour bus. It was great to meet her with Louise and stuff. Yeah, that's good to see her.
How about Mara? What is your favorite episode and your favorite character?
Well, she's here because she's really good at. I have it. It was like the social media by the 1993. So she's really good at drama and comedy, and I love Tori.
Yeah,
We love her.
Tori is great.
Everybody loves Tori. Yes,
That's
She's
it. That is the truth. Everybody does love Tori. Yes. Sadie, how about you?
Well, has always been Dylan McKay, and well, Luke is an amazing actor, right? And I think my favorite episode is the child is the father to the man.
So good.
Yes.
Oh, Chuck.
Because he did like I don't know, he was so real and so intense and so passionate there. I could feel his pain, I was like crying with him. And well, he's great, right? Luke was great. I saw a girl talking about him earlier that she felt his loss, and I did the same. When he died, I was like devastated, and I was like, my God, how can I feel this about someone I've never met Luke? I didn't know Luke, Harry, but I felt so sad. So it took me a while to, realize that he's gone. And that show, every time I watch that episode, like the child's the father to the man, every time I watch it, I just think of him, I cry, and I say he was wonderful. He was wonderful. That episode is like my favorite.
So true. How about you, Lilia? Do you have a favorite episode and character?
Oh, I have favorite seasons. Like my favorite seasons is 5, 6, and 7. And the most beloved episodes is the finale, the grand finale, graduation day, part 1, part 2, because it was seem impossible to so clearly wrap up the show like that, to give it satisfying finale. As we know from the Games of Thrones, it's quite a challenge. And I think the Beverly Hills finale is a masterpiece as to give a satisfaction about every character and leave you with a good memories, because usually when show like that ends, you feel sore. You feel sore that it's end, and you feel abandoned. And that was like you had a great farewell with your friend. That's you have a final hug, and you have only good memories, and you feel like you're gonna be together forever, even if it's time to leave. So it was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very nice stuff.
Hey, where's Peter now? We lost Peter again?
We lost Peter Gold.
I think he's having some technical difficulties.
Oh, gosh.
He doesn't want to be on the hot seat.
At least he got to talk, though, so that's good.
But did anyone want to ask a question? We should do
That's what I was going to say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question.
Go ahead, Sadie. Yeah.
Well, I was watching season 5, and I remember I saw the episode where where Dylan had those dreams, the dreams of Dylan McKay, right?
Yes.
And he was like showing Erica always crying for help, like, Dylan, help me, Dylan, help me, Dylan, help me. And then we saw that Dylan got a note from Erica and that she was in trouble, right? Would that be like a premonition, a warning or something? Was that the idea for, because for me it was like, okay, so that's,
yeah, I would say so.
Charles, do you have any
she's trying to warn him that she's in danger, you know? So, and then...
Well, first of all, we are going to do a deep dive into that episode in March. I know March is Dylan month, and so that will be one we would do. Larry's got one lined up, and I think Pete's got one up, and then we'll put a fourth through. So that's his month. So I'll do a deep dive about it in at that point. But yes, if you look at the episode as a battle for his soul, and part of it is saying, check out now, you're done. And the other saying, there's a reason to live. Well, one of the reasons to live is to save her.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to talk about in that episode, believe me. The hardest episode I ever had to do in post-production. Not one even close to than that one. So love to talk to you about it, and thank you for asking.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good one.
I want to also tell the schedule that's coming up to what's going on. Today is Planet 90210. Next week, we're talking about Misery Loves Company, which is my favorite 90210 episode. Nobody asked. And then Valentine's Day, we're going to do a whole bunch of episodes. And then we are aware of a big event happening with the 90210 OMG podcast on the 17th. So we just simply moved our Kelly and Dylan episode to Tuesday, February 16th. That's what's happening in our Beverly Hills 90210 world for the next few weeks. Okay, how about Yuka? Do you have any questions for Charles or Larry?
I would like to ask.
Mara's got a question.
Yes, because Aaron Spelling used to have a TV channel in Latin America. It was called Tele Uno. So all the productions were there. I mean, it was in Spanish and also in Portuguese. Tati, I don't know if you watched that channel by that name. Yes, it was really important. I would like to ask Charles and Larry that maybe if you know that channel exists, or maybe if the Aaron Spelling talk about it, because it was really important here in the region.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been in on those conversations, Larry. Those was more, that was all business conversations.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Sony had a channel there, Sony Pictures, but I wasn't aware that.
What they tried to do was Beverly Hills 90210 resurrected the spelling company, and all of a sudden you had demand all over the world for which discover Aaron Spelling. So there was this decision that the executives, development executives made at the time is let's put together new television shows produced by Aaron, and we'll put it together in one channel and we'll sell it around the world. And it was a 1 year. I don't even know if it made the whole year, Larry, because the shows themselves, it's not easy making these TV shows. And the way that Mr. made a lot of shows is, let's do it quick. Let's get it done in this. And eventually, what we saw with television, and we tried to stay with it, is the bar got raised. The quality of the shows that not only that you were seeing, but what you were making in the various countries in this were just better than the kind of down and dirty stuff that they were putting on that channel. It wasn't things that were on network television. It was a syndicated channel there. It was the syndicated.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's remake The Love Boat. Let's redo this. So there was a lot of that, and it just didn't work. I didn't get the chance to say this to when the other country were here, but I want to do it belatedly if they're listening. We got all this praise from all of these places, and we're getting this praise from Israel. Well, the best ideas for television series today come out of the country of Israel, and the best executed television shows for the last 25 years, if not longer, have been in the UK. So my hat's on to our international partners who just make great television, including you. Even though you're in the United States now,
Brazil, Argentina. I worked on an Argentina show, Los Simuladores in Argentina. If you ever saw that show, I did a lot of work on that show. And in Brazil, I worked on a couple of shows there too. The Naked Palace. I don't know how it translated, but it was a series there.
All right. Well, this has been really wonderful, guys.
I have no idea how it's.
Does anyone else have any questions for Charles?
Wait a second. We got Peter coming back.
Okay. Peter coming back.
Australia, he's a battler. The Australian's a battler.
He's trying.
Peter, it's been a tough morning for you. We promise. You'll come on. You'll get a special slot, and we'll just do a conversation with you on our video cast. How about that?
All right. Listen,
All right, Larry, we'll have him back because he gets a separate spot.
Yeah, he can make it. He's on the right time thing.
This has been great.
Everyone's faces, and I should say that Tati is from BH, which she always thought was Beverly Hills, but she's from Belo Horizonte. The BH
is. It is, right?
It formed her.
It's always Beverly Hills, but well.
You should go into that's exactly.
Hey, I'm going to play
visit us. Post-COVID, come to LA and see us.
I'm going to play.
I've been there actually. I've been to Beverly Hills actually. Like a long, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
And we want to travel to all these countries.
I'm going to play our globe, and the four of us will wrap up. Okay, is that cool with you guys, Charles and Larry? So we're going to say goodbye and go back to Beverly Hills.
Thanks.
All right, guys. This Planet 90210 show was absolutely a blast. It is so awesome to see all these people from all these different countries. Charles, I got to ask you. You were with us from the beginning of 90210. Really, what is it like hearing all these people all these years later still talking about this show and some of the things that you and Karen wrote and Larry yourself? How are you feeling about all this?
Validated and vindicated. It's just nothing. This is, and most of you follow this. I've been going to write something about it. I've been writing something about it. I've got to jump back into the Mayor of Venice, but I'm going to do it and have it out sometime this year. It was a period of time I didn't want to know anything about this television show. I did it. It didn't. Unlike when we expect, you'd think it would help one's career. It really didn't. And I was like, I'm done with this. And so to find out starting in 2012 with some of the fans that, hey, we were watching this every day, and then to come to this all around the world, wow. I can't even the best I can't see the glass half empty. I'm tired, but I can't anymore because of all our fans.
Thank you. Go in your face, CAA. In your face. In your face, William Morris. All the people who wouldn't hire us for the show.
Listen, guys, you made an impact. It's around the world. It's one thing I think, doing the show with you guys, and we talk about, hey, you made an impact in my life, and that's so small and whatever, but like you hear it globally by people all over, and it's just so impressive.
Well, it was so intense and required so much effort. And when Larry, I know I wouldn't have got through the fifth year unless he was willing to come over on Sunday afternoons and work with me watching football with the sound off and getting this done, because it wasn't a 9-to-5 job. It was just so much work. And so to know that it had meaning to people and much more than just the paycheck it's hard for me even to describe it.
It enriched their lives. I mean, obviously people, it just gave them this, like they keep saying, a portal, a window to see this other world, to kind of, the glamour of Beverly Hills. Not that you necessarily want that, but it could pull you out of where you were and give you some goals and some aspirations.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Really, so good.
We are doing an After Dark Zoom for all those Patreons, and we are going to invite all those people that you just saw to come join us for a little bit. Won't be a very long one today.
Peter, join the Zoom.
Yeah.
When are we picking that up, Pete? It's 2:10 now. When are we going back on?
Like 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
All right, Larry and I will meet for a cocktail, and then we'll come back.
Exactly. Love you all.
All right. See you all.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Great
Thank
episode.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.